Boom. How many of you have lost? Oh my God. Give me a bit. Like this. Better. Right. Sometimes my setup is just intense and it breaks on me. Anyways, how many of you have ever lost someone before? And despite 26 years living for 26 years, going 27 in life, I'm fortunate enough to actually experience my first real grief quite recently, and I'm gonna assume this is Royce. Hey, Facebook user, but I'm gonna assume this is Royce. And hold on, yeah, and I'm fortunate enough to only experience this once, if you can call it fortunate. And yep, this is Royce. Yeah, my skills are amazing. Anyways, so I'm fortunate enough to experience grief quite recently, and of course, it's changed my perspective. Yep, I see you, man. You're in the Prime community. Yeah, and it's changed my perspective in some way. But more than that, I want to talk about this, which is what most people go through whenever they lose someone important. It's called the 5 stages of grief. And quite interesting is that different people go through different stages. And while this is the common that happens to everyone, like they go to denial first, is this real? And quite literally, I've experienced this firsthand, and it's not a nice place to be, where the person has been gone for hours and you're just there. And in a way, I've also bargained, right? Bargained that I was wrong. Everything is what's the word I'm looking for? Everything is just a big bad dream, right? Even up to the point where I had to walk in wherever the wake was. I was in denial, right? But upon seeing the body, then that's something else. So people go through denial, right? This isn't happening. This isn't real. People go through anger, and strangely enough, this is both where I am now, and this is also where. But I've also passed bargaining. Hey, Sienna, thank you for watching. Right now, there's
You're
bargaining.
welcome.
Not you, Siri. Anyways, so I've done bargaining, I've done depression, in some way or form, in acceptance. But then one day, I've come to realize, like, I've came to wake up, and I was angry, right? Very, very angry, to the point where even yesterday while working, I've made it a point to not associate or talk with anyone for days, because of my anger. And it's super easy to trigger me right now. What's the word I'm looking for? Something as simple as a pen not being in the right place could set me off, right? So, which leads us to today's topic, right? Because right at this point in my life, I want to share tips on how you can become, or how you can earn 6 figures, how you could find a great client, how you can become a business person that scales to 7 to 8 figures per year. I don't care about that right now, right? What I care about is this. So this is what I choose to speak about today, right? The 5 stages of grief, and specifically, I just want to add this as a banner: dealing with anger and how to function without burning your environment. Okay, so this is a this is this is, for me, is a very interesting topic, because like most men, anger is my default when it comes to high and negative emotion. So, and as we all know, well, and I hope we all know, anger usually is just a mask, right? Um, where people feel, or where men have to mask other emotion or feelings that make them actually feel weak, right? So in my case, it's at the state where I'm processing. Okay, what is anger? What anger really is right now for me? Um, and it could say grief. It could say um, it could say I'm still grieving. But more than that, there's something beyond that, because I also grieve for a week, right? So there should be more meaning behind the anger, or why. Now, when you're in this state, for men, when you're in this state, and you know, and it could also be universal. Women could also be here, right? When people are angry in general, what happens is that the way things set you off, it's so easy to set you off, where you might lose relationships, you might burn down bridges, you might even destroy things that are important to you, which is why it's important that we talk about this this topic, right? So how do you deal with anger, and how do you function without burning your environment? Well, here's my tip for you guys. Number one, breathe. Yeah, learn how to breathe. And for those of you who are in the prime community or in the life guide community, you guys see this coming, right? So breathing allows you to ground yourself. Okay? Breathing allows you to ground yourself. And chances are, when people are angry, when you're angry, you also forget to breathe, right? There's less oxygen in your body because you're so busy uh, you're so busy acting up, blaming or whatever, your environment, other people, and maybe yourself, over breathing, right? Because let's be honest, at some point in your life, when you're really angry, you kind of wish you don't exist at that point in time, right? So your body, in a way, responds, and by breathing, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, you allow your body to pause. You interrupt whatever pattern is there, and you allow your body to pause, um, so that it can now decide what to do next. Okay. Another thing, isolation. Isolation may, or being alone, may also be, what's the word I'm looking for? May also be good for you. Okay. So a lot of people say you don't have to do things alone, but maybe you need to be in a space where you are not easily influenced. Okay. And I don't just mean putting yourself, I'm lucky enough that I have my own place, right? So I can be in solitude and really ground what's really happening. But even if you're alone, even if you put yourself in a room where no one else can bother you, then what about your phone? Okay. So long as you're connected to your phone or the internet or social media, you are also connected to the outside world. Okay. So you need to learn how to balance, that out, right? Um, yes, you're alone, but maybe you're scrolling through social media and you're seeing other people, especially what if you're seeing other people who are grieving the same person as you, right? Or grieving the same event of loss as you. Okay. So it could be quite triggering. Okay. So solitude only works if you really take in the work and actually cut yourself off, not just from other people, but from social media. And this is where it gets interesting. Now, once you're able to do that, and quite frankly, it's hard. I don't expect you to be able to achieve or do that quite easily. Okay. that your phones are addictive. You have work, you have outside, you have a life outside of your grief moment, right? The world will keep moving forward and will not wait for you as you grieve. So at this point where you're able to be alone and you're able to disconnect yourself from the internet, something very interesting happens. You are now alone with your thoughts. And at this point, two things happen. You could either deny, or you could either start to listen to what is truly happening in your mind. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes when you're it's called meditate in a way it's called meditation. And there's so many ways to meditate, but this is where it gets powerful, because once you're alone with your thoughts, the only real way out is either you go deeper into pain, which eventually leads to you not accepting pain anymore, deciding that you've had enough of pain and you want to you want to move forward, or it's it's the moment where you finally listen to what you really need. It's finally the moment where you listen to what you really need. And when was the last time you actually took time to listen to your needs? What does busy mean for you? Right? When you're too busy living the world and you're not paying attention to what your subconscious, what your self is saying, and hopefully what it means when you listen to yourself, or when you finally hear yourself in that moment, is, well, maybe it's called I forgive you. Maybe you forgive yourself for whatever lapses you feel like you have with this person. Me personally, I feel like there was a revelation like days after the burial, where I feel like something was taken from me. Right, everything was fine, but something was not adding up, and then I found out what that is, and then I've come to realize I felt like something was taken from me. Right, um, when and I actually don't know where the point is anymore. Let's see, meditation, being alone. Hopefully, your environment um, leads you to somewhere. But yeah, right now, after all of that, eventually time still flows, guys. Time still flows. So number one, if you're working, your boss or your employer still needs you in the office. People who are alive still need your presence. So, and people you have prior commitments to need to see you, um, what's the word I'm looking for, unless agreed upon otherwise, right? um, Need to see you fulfill whatever those commitments are, right? So what if after all that you're still not okay, right? So here's the next best thing that you can do: boundaries. Okay? Warn people in advance. Hey, today is not a good day. I don't need sympathy. I don't need advice. I don't need, what's the word I'm looking for? I could not need human contact, but I am here to work. I am here to do what is expected of me, right? And I will do it to the best of my abilities. All I'm asking is for one, a little patience from you, and two, I might and a little understanding. Okay, but I will also choose, and of course, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, you also commit to the people in your environment that you will do your best not to blow up, not to set yourself off. and just for them to give you a little space to be comfortable in whatever you're doing. So number one, that's it. Set your boundaries. The moment that you're in, the moment that you're out in the real world, you need to set you need to set the boundaries in advance. Okay, especially to people who don't know or who don't understand to what extent um, the loss is. Okay, so you need to set the boundaries. Okay, and number two, and this is really where it culminates. After you've set the boundaries, just do your best and forgive yourself, right? For whatever mistakes that are made, whatever lapses are there, just know that you showed up and just forgive yourself from the results. Okay. Trust also that other people will be able to see the lapses and fill in the gaps for you. Trust in other people so to see the lapses and fill in the gaps for you. And this is I remember this quote from a friend of mine, Janet Solose. And let's see the comments. Yeah, thank you, Shiana. Yeah. So, and I remember this quote I read from a friend of mine, Janet Solose. She says, "You know what? You need to use systems." Okay, I'll completely butcher this. Okay, but don't bend or don't. Yeah, I'm gonna butcher this, but but in a way, the thought is this, right? You need to use systems in your life that support you. Okay, don't rely on your strength. Rely on systems instead. Okay, because systems will always support you. So your strength wanes eventually. When you grow old, you lose that insight, you lose that strength, you lose that energy. Maybe you'll lose even money, but systems are forever. Okay. So in my case, what happened, even though um, I'm not functioning at 100%, I have a team that basically fill in the gap for me, and that has made all the difference. All right. So that's pretty much it. Now, how to make systems. If I teach you guys that in this live, it's gonna take a while. So I'll end this live here, and hope you got some value. See ya.